It was a cold morning when Mia sat alone in her classroom, staring at the math problem on the board. Her teacher had already moved on to the next topic, but Mia couldn't understand why her brain just couldn't solve it. Her classmates had laughed earlier when she gave a wrong answer, and now, a heavy weight of shame pressed against her chest. At home, things weren't any better. Her parents were too busy working multiple jobs to pay much attention to her struggles. Mia's older brother, though, noticed her frustration. He handed her a notebook one evening and said, "Every time you get stuck, write it down. Then figure out one step at a time. You're smarter than you think." Mia hesitated but decided to try. That night, she spent hours scribbling in the notebook. At first, it didn't make sense. But gradually, something clicked. She began to notice patterns. Slowly, the numbers started to feel less like enemies and more like puzzles she could solve. A week later, the school announced a citywide math competition. Mia's teacher asked for volunteers, and a small voice inside her whispered, "What if?" But doubt followed quickly. What if they laugh again? For days, she wrestled with the decision. Finally, she decided to sign up. Not because she thought she would win, but because she wanted to prove to herself that she could try. Each night, Mia practiced using the same notebook. She solved problems, made mistakes, learned from them, and kept going. Her brother often stayed up late to help, encouraging her when she wanted to give up. The day of the competition arrived. Mia's hands trembled as she picked up the pencil. She looked around the large hall filled with confident students. The first question appeared on the screen, and her mind went blank. "Breathe," she told herself. She opened her notebook and glanced at the encouraging words her brother had written on the first page, "One step at a time." Slowly, she worked through the problem. Then the next. And the next. By the time the competition ended, she felt exhausted but proud. 2 days later, the results were announced. Mia didn't win first place, but she placed third, a result no one, not even she, had expected. Her teacher's praise during the school assembly filled her with pride she had never felt before. For the first time, she realized that success wasn't about being the smartest in the room. It was about resilience, effort, and believing in herself. Mia's story spread quickly across the school. Other kids who struggled with their own insecurities began approaching her for advice. She shared her notebook method and encouraged them to tackle their fears one step at a time. Over time, Mia's confidence grew, not just in math but in every subject she once avoided. She began participating in science fairs, debates, and even sports. Each small victory built upon the last, creating a version of herself she had never imagined. What started as a painful struggle with self-doubt became a journey of self-discovery. Mia's message to others was simple but powerful: it's okay to feel scared or uncertain. The key is to take that first step, no matter how small, and keep going. Her story reminded everyone around her that extraordinary feats don't always begin with talent or confidence. They start with courage, effort, and the determination to try. Years later, when Mia stood on a stage to accept an award for academic excellence, she carried that same notebook with her. She opened it and read a passage she had written to herself years ago: "When you think you can't, remember you already have. Keep going." The audience erupted in applause, not just for the award but for the girl who turned her struggles into her greatest strength. Mia's journey showed everyone that extraordinary isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one small step at a time.